Okay, and we're back. Now, you'll note that this is Volume 2, and if you're wondering what the difference between the volumes is, because it seems a bit arbitrary, or at least it will at the end of Volume 2, because it's going to be a different duration from Volume 1, it denotes when I start and stop sessions. So Volume 1 was all one session on a weekend, when I had enough time to dedicate 6 hours just into New Vegas. But Volume 2 here is on a weekday, so this is probably going to be only about 2 or 3 episodes, because I don't have that kind of time. Did I say Volume 3? No, Volume 2. I should have checked my sleep stat. Still no crashes in this run. Couple of glitches, but honestly, no crash. I've noticed, for me at least, most of the crashes happen on the, in the DLC, like, particularly Old World Blues and Honest Hearts. I don't know why. Somebody actually said that, oh, Dead Money was the most unstable, and it's like, I didn't actually have any crashes during Dead Money. I don't have as many crashes during this game in general, which, again, I'm sure that's the envy of somebody who, you know, basically cannot play this without New Vegas anti-cheat. Or not anti-cheat, New Vegas anti-crash, NVAC. So this first 5 minutes is going to be me getting set in. I have decided to skip Nipton because I could talk to Vulpes and wait on boxcars, but that kind of makes the canon a little strange, because why would the Legionnaires who made off with the prisoners still be there several in-game days and several real hours later when I actually get to that? It makes more sense to me to just bypass Nipton altogether and swing directly for Novak. Okay, so I'd love to get the NCR, not the NCR, the Riot armor from the Divide. However, I'm not really leveled enough for that to be viable. Because if I want to get it without having to pay for it, and I don't think I could afford it now, even if I was intending to go that route and waste my money, you can get it for free if you've got a high enough lockpicking skill from a locker in one of the barracks after you leave the thing and Ulysses does his first rant. And of course, the funny details of the thing everybody criticizes is that Ulysses talks longer than it takes to complete Lonesome Road. Which, I mean, okay, I get the joke, but I don't see that happen. There's freaking Deathclaws and Tunnelers and all kinds of shit. Ulysses does not talk for that long. Unless provoked. You prod him to talk, and even then he wouldn't talk that long. It's all a big exaggeration. And maybe that's the point. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. Yeah, we were going to start running plasma rifles. So I did some homework on energy conversion rates and ammunition conversion rates. What I discovered is that converting energy ammunition from one type to another is a zero losses affair, which means you can convert back and forth as often as you want, because what you get out of a conversion is the same thing that you put in. Which is good. It basically means that you can adjust your energy ammunition to fit in whatever weapon you want to use, which is part of the reason I used energy ammunition, because you could do that, as opposed to focusing on gun-type ammunition, which... Okay, so there's going to be a bit of traveling here, so now would be a good time to bring up... Okay, after I deal with these ants. I don't like the sights in the plasma. You've got 1 point. That is not how sights work. Yes, don't mind the fact that Edie right now hits harder than I do. Well, you know, Ant guys, you didn't need to be here. Could have been anywhere else. I'm not wasting more plasma on that. I'm gonna get more plasma soon, but still. Just wait till Edie gets an ion cannon. Boy. We've already cleared out so many of the ants, you might as well just press on and clear out the rest. The circle strafing during a melee is a viable strategy. Beneficially. At this point, I'm probably doing this more so for levels. Now, I'd love to get my hands on some Mark II combat armor, which is better than the Mark I. I mean, obviously. But, the pairs that are guaranteed to sort of spawn in the game are all in areas where you can expect to meet a lot of resistance. Naturally, it's actually the best defensive medium armor in the game. It's even better than the Riot gear. However, the Riot gear comes packaged with certain bonuses, particularly for the higher-end Riot gear, that make it worth more than the combat armor, which is mostly just defensive. God, I feel like I just killed a bunch of ants. Now I gotta go kill a bunch more ants. You, I'm not going to melee. Jeez, Edie is a beast. Fortunately, Edie is also a bit of a glass cannon. It can deal out plenty of punishment, but it's got like 150 hit points. It's not... It can't take that much punishment. Good for sort of artillery support. Like, if you were going for a melee build, having Edie fire on enemies while you fight them up close, that would be pretty effective, I'd imagine. Now, unfortunately, we are about to start running into human adversaries. So they're going to be shooting back at us. So yes, gun-type ammunition, and this is the reason why, during my first run through New Vegas, I gravitated towards energy weapons. It wasn't just like a cool sci-fi thing, it was because... Okay, so, you've got 4 types of energy ammunition, and 3 of them are interchangeable. You got flame or fuel, electron charge packs, which are basically used for all of your automatic energy weapons, small energy cells, which are used for your single-handed, non-automatic energy weapons, and microfusion cells, which are used for your two-handed, non-automatic energy weapons. And you can convert small energy cells and microfusion cells and electron charge packs freely from one to another. And that's the key benefit. Regardless what you're using, you can adapt your existing ammunition to fit the role. If you're dealing with gun-type weapons, you're going to encounter ammunition more frequently, but actually... converting it, like theoretically, does not work. The reason for that is that, first of all shells require a unique case. If you don't have the case, you can't make the bullet. Then you need a primer. Primer is semi-unique, because you have small pistol primer, which is for 9mm and 357 Magnum, large pistol primer, which is for 44 Magnum, 10mm, 45 ACP, and 12.7mm. Then you have shotgun primer, which beneficially, I think I can make this. I have my doubts.
You like that?
Well, that worked.
Help!
You know, I have been considering ditching silent running for a more offensive perk. Because I thought to myself, how often am I really going to be sneaking? Like, how often? Or how often is it going to be essential? I'm considering it, but there's other perks I'm also considering gutting because the benefits they offer are dubious for what I'm considering to go for. So, my build is not as set in stone as I might have hoped. It is still subject to some flux. Because I haven't done, like, the hard math in terms of what's going to go where and how that's... Oh, hey, absinthe. Vodka. Oh, you had a cowboy repeater. So there's more mercs or whatever over there. Besides which I am just a little overburdened. And officially, because this metal armor is not faction-specific, I can actually let Edie carry it for a change. So yeah, you have Shotgun Primer, which is it's effective across both the 20 gauge and the 12 gauge. You have Small Assault, a small rifle primer, which is used for 5.56 and 5mm. Large rifle primer, which is used for 308, 45-70 government, and I want to say there was another one. I know it's not effective for 50 caliber because that's the thing. The 50 BMG, which you use for your anti-materiel rifle, requires a unique primer that's specific to that cartridge. Thanks for that. Because otherwise, you could actually make junk rounds work by just using it. Because the thing is, you can only make one shell for every, like, 5 tin cans and a piece of scrap metal. That's kind of the problem. But it wouldn't be a problem if you could use that to make 50 BMG. But the thing is that you need a unique primer for that, so what good is being able to manufacture the shell if you need a unique primer? So they really tried to gate your access to that anti-materiel cartridge. I mean, that would make sense given that it is one of the more powerful weapon offerings on hand. Okay, we're not dealing with the rad scorps, not right now anyway. Never turn down anti-venom. Very useful item to have. Especially if you run into cazadors. So then you have the semi... Oh, now what? Oh, are you kidding me? It's like a whole goddamn cabal of them coming right at me, like, no. Oh, of course you couldn't be wearing metal armor that I can make more use of. Somebody dropped a lead pipe. Which, sure, I could use that to fix a single-handed weapon, like a Ripper, theoretically. I also found out in my research that the weapons that are supposed to ignore damage resistance and damage threshold are programmed improperly, so they don't actually do that. Which is part of the reason why one of the perks I want to get now, which is for a melee build, which my character most definitely is not, is Piercing Strike, which basically gives me... I think it's 15 points of DT mitigation for all melee and unarmed attacks. Now, if I had to be choosier about where I allocated my skill points, I wouldn't even consider that, but I'm planning on almost maxing out the skill values for pretty much everything.
Please help me. He's crazy. Please help me.
Had enough?
Help.
He's not hitting anything.
Please help me.
Now, I'm gonna let you two sort it out amongst yourselves, and then I'll deal with whoever survives.
Did you see that? That crazy bitch just attacked me out of nowhere.
Did you know her?
Not for long. I met her on the road a few days ago, and we've been traveling together since. We'd actually been flirting a little when she suddenly pulled a gun out and began yelling at me to hand my caps over. Now that I think of it, though, she laughed when I threw her my money. I think what she really wanted was my Lucky Charm necklace.
Lucky Charm necklace? They're always
Yeah, every
after
once
me,
in a
Lucky
while you can find a
Charms.
cap with a blue star on it. They're pretty rare, so I started collecting them. And once I had enough, I made a necklace out of them, since I thought they were lucky.
Yeah, I figured I couldn't... I can still get them in other ways, though. Just be more careful in the future, okay?
I will. That's the last time I pick up a straggler on the road, believe me.
So, here's the problem. I can pickpocket them off of him, but my sneak is not that good. So there's a chance he might notice that I'm... Why am I still detected, though? Okay, maybe... Yeah, you wait here. You might be giving away my position here. Okay, crows, leave. I don't want you mucking up my reading here. Aha! Got him. Hey, honestly, this is for his own good. He has no idea what in the hell he'd be in for. Just running around with Sunset Star caps. If I could have gone them with the speech check, I would have. But I haven't invested enough in speech yet. Okay, so where was I? Right. This is probably going to be in the last episode because it's been so long. Gun ammunition types. I went over the primers. I went over the cases. Now, the common elements, or we'll start with the semi-common elements, is powder. Because whereas you have a large and small primer, you only have one type of powder per class of weapon. Shotgun powder, rifle powder, and pistol powder. Which, what you use what on is pretty much self-explanatory. The one element that is common across all your ammunition types is just lead. The only difference between ammunition type is the quantity of lead required, like the quantity of powder. Now, one interesting tidbit that I noticed was if you're running Honest Hearts, one of the big problems with that, and especially in hardcore mode, that actually makes it one of the harder DLCs if you don't have a melee build. You also want a good melee build for Dead Money as well, because you don't get to bring any of your fancy shit in with you. But one of the problems if you don't have a melee build with Honest Hearts is that you got that 50-pound or whatever weight limit going in. That is rough. You cannot bring in, like, decent armor, you can't bring in heavy weapons, and you certainly can't bring in ammunition in any large quantity to feed those heavy weapons. Shooting at ghosts there, Edie? Well, Edie's still locked onto something. Oh, I see the little bark scorpion. So, here's the thing in hardcore mode. The fact that ammunition has weight drastically changes how you handle your weapon stuff, because energy weapon ammunition is heavier than gun ammunition. However, it's very modular. You can always convert energy weapon into whatever you need, provided you're using an energy weapon. The only exception to that is flamer fuel, but who uses flamers? I mean, at this difficulty, you'll be dead before the damage over time actually does anything useful for you. Whereas with gun ammunition, you could load up on a bunch of 5.56, and the enemy, and you've got a 5.56 rifle, but you start running low on ammunition, and your enemies aren't dropping the ammo you're using. So you're forced to use something you either scalp off of them, or double back to wherever you have a cache or somewhere to resupply. Because in a normal game, you would just let that ammunition build up in your inventory, because why not? It has no weight. So you can basically, like, build up ammunition for a caliber you don't use, and then just whip it out when you need it. You can't do that in hardcore mode, because the ammunition has weight, and if you try that, you're going to end up regretting it. Now, a solution to that, a possible solution, but a difficult one to implement, and here is where Honest Hearts comes in. Ammunition components, most of them, do not have weight. So your shell cases do not have weight. Your primers do not have weight, if I remember correctly. Your powder doesn't have weight. The only ammunition component that has weight is your lead, and the weight is so negligible as to basically not matter. I have purified water, right? Oh yeah, I see the Vipers coming in. This is why I took the high ground, because they like to launch an ambush on you with grenades. And, yeah, I don't care to end up on the wrong end of that. So one of the ways you can sneak, so to speak, you can sneak more ammunition into Honest Hearts, is to break it down. That's also a way in hardcore you can carry all of your gun ammunition on you, is to break it down into its parts, and then the weight is negated. Now that weight, that zero weight also applies to drained energy ammunition. The problem is that you can't make that voluntarily. That just happens as a product of using energy weapons. You can save all of your drained energy ammunition, if at all possible, and that's actually something that I'm going to attempt to do in the interest of sneaking as much ammunition as possible into Honest Hearts, because the recommended player level for Honest Hearts is 10, and by the time I hit level 10, I'll have access to that area of the map, so I can do that immediately, and that'll probably be in Volume 3. Why is there just a Legion mongrel here? I'm not going to question it. Clipping through the terrain as well. Don't think I hadn't noticed. It probably got pathfinding broke from Nipton and ended up here, which is a fascinating bug. Like I said, so far we've had bugs. We have not had a crash over several hours of play. That's a good day. Where's the one I saw walking? That's the one I'm trying not to set off, because I want to get that sneak attack crit. You're a Viper gunslinger with no gun. You are a failure at life. Oh, you should not have gotten that close to me. And another Viper gunslinger that has no gun. You guys do realize that you're a lousy gunslinger if you have no gun. So yeah, I'm gonna actually, sequester my drained energy cells somewhere so I can bring them with me into Zion, because they have no weight. Then all I have to do is wait till I find one of the caves and get to a workbench and a reloading bench, and I can turn my ammunition components back into usable ammo. So I'm playing the game against itself. I'd love to make that shot, but even if my aim is dead on, which it is, the plasma shot is not perfectly accurate. So, and it has travel time, so it's likely going to miss. Or I have been blessed by the sniper gods. You're the one with the grenade launcher, aren't you? Yeah, go back to your normal patrol. Let's see if lightning strikes twice. That actually is a joke, because lightning is a plasma. Why would you go back and then start moving again? What is your major malfunction? I think it's because if they see a body... Because you can technically hide bodies in this game, because you can interact with objects. If they see a body, they become alerted. So every time he returns to his old patrol route, he sees the corpse that I just made, and he's like, oh, something's going on over here. Well, it took a couple of hits, but he still died in one shot. Well, one impact. I shouldn't say it took a couple of hits, it took a couple of shots. He still died in one hit, though. Now, there's also the fact... Oh, boy. There's also the fact that you can process energy ammunition into more potent versions of itself. Don't I still have, like, grilled mantis? Where is that? I have gecko steak. I will eat that. There's also the fact that you can process energy ammunition into more potent versions of itself, but with gun ammunition, certain, the ammunition variants that you unlock with, like, the reloader perk are specific to the cartridge. So, for instance, the ammunition that you really want is, like, armor piercing. But, to my knowledge, you can't actually make any AP rounds. You have to buy that. Which to me just becomes, so then what is the goddamn point? And if you're talking pistol rounds, you're even worse off, because there the ammunition you make is the stuff that's less effective against armor, but more effective against unarmored targets. The problem is, later in the game, more and more targets are going to be wearing armor. You're going to be dealing with NCR in medium armor, or Legion in medium armor. You're going to be dealing with Securitrons and robots, Brotherhood, whoever you're dealing with, they're going to be wearing armor. And then the ammunition that you can craft is the ammunition that doesn't help penetrate armor. So yeah, you're better off, honestly, unless you're going to go hard into like a really gun-centric build, you're better off just buying the ammunition you need or scavenging it. But with energy ammunition, which is rarer, admittedly, that's why it's set up this way, with energy ammunition, you can recycle it easily, you can convert it into more potent energy ammunition, lots of stuff you can do with it, lots of flexibility. There's also the fact that the skill required for that is not energy weapons, it's science. And you are likely to increase your science skill purely to hack terminals, which means it's a double benefit. Whereas you have to increase your gun skill, which is only useful for your guns, in order to get the reloading bench recipes.
Need anything? Sure. Here's what I got.
I usually look for stuff like that. Oh, you have a plasma defender. That would clean me out, though. Like, legit, that would clean me out. Extended drum, anti-material, carbon fiber parts, chainsaw, high damage chain, chrome tube. It's usually the attachments of these wandering traders that I look for. I could get 40 for a fission battery. Where's that ant stuff I picked up? That I don't need to be dragging with me. I'll hold on to some of that. And an egg. Okay, so the carbon fiber parts are expensive. That could be useful because I do intend to do more sniping later. And, well, I'd have to get the anti-material rifle from the gunrunners because you can't modify the default one. The Chainsaw HD chain is appealing. I'd prefer it for a Ripper, though, because you can find Rippers early on in a few places, actually. Chainsaw, for the most part, first you'd have to get a Gunrunner's version, and if you were settling with one that wasn't, you'd have to probably kill Moto Runner, and we're not nearly there yet. So you know what? I'm gonna let this slide. I'm gonna talk to this other trader.
Hey there, need anything? Sure, here's what I got.
Maybe he's got something that's more pro. Okay, so anti-material rifle custom bolt. Katana authentically. Yeah, when I went to Zion last, my strategy when I ran out of ammo was to use the compliance regulator, hit enemies until they were stunned, because that's its special function, and then whip out my fully upgraded katana and then just melee them to death while they were paralyzed. Because if I tried doing it when they weren't paralyzed, I would have been killed. Plasma pistol, magnetic accelerator, plasma... yeah... None of it's all that useful for me right now. I think we're about to see the NCR... So there's the Legion... So there's the Legion camp over there. You can already see the dudes.